KKK leader in a wife beater, sentenced for posting racist flyers on churches. Another one with too much time on his hand. He got time for hate, though. We got time for hate in America. All these problems, you got time for this? You printed flyers, you posted them at churches? 38-year-old Daniel Walls, a leader of a KKK group in Tennessee. Well, sir, what qualifications do you have to be the leader of a KKK group in Tennessee? Looking at the picture and the accusations, it's a low bar. He's going to serve 3 years in prison for posting racist flyers on 3 Black churches last summer. He pleaded guilty to 4 counts of civil rights intimidation after admitting to placing the flyers on the doors, marquees of Faith United Missionary Baptist Church, Bethel Chapel AME Church, and Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church, all located in Columbia, South Carolina. He probably should have just left the flyers in his car. Maybe he walked there and went inside the church and received the word. He might need the word if you believe. Even if you don't, you need some people to pray for you, brother.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
The flyers contained Klan imagery, racist and homophobic language, and threats from the old glory knights of the KKK. They warned race traitors, mixed breeds, communists, homosexuals, and all other walks of godless degeneracy. The Klan is back again, here to stay. So you'd better make amends or stay away. An email address and a recruitment message stating, join us in our fight were also included. Look at this primitive flyer. On the day of his sentencing, Walls apologized and claimed that he holds deep regret in his heart for his actions. I guess he can say what he wants to say, but did the judge really buy that? I know what I did was wrong and a horrible thing to do. I don't know what got into me. Walls told the judge, according to WTVF, I can think of some things that got into you. None of it's good. Authorities say Walls recruited the help of a 17-year-old white male to post a flyer. Walls will have to complete a 6-year probation once he's released from prison. When the flyers were discovered, July 2023, local city leaders and members of law enforcement joined the churches to condemn the propaganda. Some congregation members of the churches Walls targeted were present for his sentencing. The judge had to send a clear picture that this kind of senseless act of hate has consequences, and his incarceration will deter others from trying to do what he did. Oh, no. Kenny L. Anderson Sr., the pastor of Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church, said per WBIR. So I am glad all of that fell that way. I really am. Thank you, Pastor, for not just going there. I'm sure you did pray for him. But I'm a little tired of us, slow singing, flower bringing, forgiveness, hugs, consequences. That's what they would tell people of color, after all. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, only 10 KKK groups were active in the United States in 2023. I don't believe that. More. 2 of those groups are located in Tennessee, including the one Walls promoted. 2022, the SPLC reported 22 incidents involving the KKK and flyers, most of which were also in Tennessee. Town of Columbia is located more than 45 miles south of Nashville. It's also located near Pulaski, where the very first KKK chapter was formed at the end of the Civil War by 6 Confederate veterans. So they got to work rather quickly in forming a domestic terrorist group known as the KKK. I respect the Southern Poverty Center, but I happen to think there's got to be more offshoots. Let's talk about all of it. Mayor, I'm going to let you unpack this one fully. I don't believe the apology. I like the sentence. And perhaps I'm wrong. I know people of faith and the pastor who showed up at sentencing believed in redemption and forgiveness. But first, I would say you got to be punished.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's a bittersweet story for me. I'm disgusted that it took place at an AME church, which is the oldest Black church in this country, formed when white people that were Methodists wouldn't let Black Methodists pray
Thank
beside them in Philadelphia, and Black people formed the African Methodist Episcopal
you.
Church.
Educate us.
And it's so many. If you know anything about that church and the people who fought, it is one of the freedom churches for sure. That doctrine about being loud about what's wrong and what's ailing Black people is a part of is as much part of the gospel as it is about Jesus. And if James Cone, little Black boy from Arkansas, would say it, he would say, "You can't understand Jesus if you don't understand the lynching tree." And what Black people deal with. So I'll say that to start out. What's sweet about it is the sentence. What's bitter about it is, I in 2022, my problem with the Southern Poverty Law Center is they're talking about reported incidents. The Klan leaflet, these same type of Klans letters were thrown all over my town. And if it wasn't for this show, I would probably be locked up for those letters myself, because the SBI in North Carolina was trying to investigate me, even though they were targeting me for this in 2022. If it wasn't for this show bringing noise to them, they would have went forward. But they was really upset that I called out the governor for his lack of action. The very same model with the recruitment under it, a voicemail going out to the white people in town, calling me the N-word of the month, would turn down a Confederate monument, and then followed by these leaflets in all of the Black community. And because all of these leaflets were thrown meticulously in the Black neighborhood and none of the white neighborhood, it's less about recruiting and more about intimidation, if you consider that. And nobody was punished. And actually, the SBI investigation was never turned towards the gaze of the white people, the loyal white knight, which are in North Carolina, which is the largest chapter of the KKK, which is also the chapter that planned the Charlottesville deadly attack and rallied there when Trump was calling good people on both sides. So the bitter part is that I was investigated for something to happen just like this in that same year that Southern Poverty Law Center is not talking about or do not track. And the people who perpetrated are walking free, while I have to deal with the trauma of not being able to stay in my house, and why the people on this show see me in so many different places every time I'm on this show, because I have to move because my life is still threatened by the KKK.
Mayor, I want you to keep talking about it. And every time you do, and it didn't happen to me, but I feel like the fact that it happened to you, it happened to all of us. And that is a sick injustice. And as you mentioned, the next phase of it was to target you, the person who had been targeted with this filth, this trauma. I remember being right here with you, and you happen to mention your family, your mother, your sister. And people don't realize, because you are a strong, proud, storied, educated leader, that's what really threatens them, that you're still here. They don't realize all the trauma that you went through and are still going through. It is not a point of shame. It is testimony to what's out there. And I don't understand why somebody can't be punished. Why would this investigation not still be going on? There's a huge threat out there, and everybody's just going to let it go or pretend you did it. It's sick.
Yeah, it's sick and sickening, especially when the night that it happened, I wasn't even in the state, and that was the disgusting part. And I told the the reason was so frustrating for me. The investigation started a year after I tore down the Confederate monument, and the letters, the death threats I've been getting from the Invisible Empire. If you go back and look at that flyer that they put in on those churches, the top part, it had the Invisible Empire on the top part, because that's what the Klan calls itself now, the Invisible Empire. And I was getting death threats from people all over. If you look above the circle, it says Invisible Empire. So I was getting these letters from people all over this country, some of them outside of the country. And we started seeing strange cars pop up in our town. So we knew this was a credible threat. Plus, someone had doxed me, put my information, and as you said, my mom and all of that information on the worst part of the webs, and they were seeing circulate on white supremacist website. So it is a true thing, and it is 2024. And to say that it's 10 active checkers is to downplay reality for sure. I mean, I bet you they didn't include the MAGA chapter of the KKK in those numbers. They should.
They should. And this invisible empire was smoked out in this one case. And it wears a wife beater and it looks pathetic in the mugshot. And just the fact that it's still going on, pleaded guilty. Okay, the fact that you're still doing this domestic terrorism means your case was credible the moment you phoned it in. We know what it is. No matter what color you are, you know what it is. This is Indisputable. On today with the Honorable Mondale Robinson, Mayor of Enfield, North Carolina. He is still standing, imparting wisdom, also giving us history lessons. Well, I feel like I done fell out. I feel like I've been to church today. When the mayor talks, I listen because he has a lot of relevant things to say.